Good morning, family and friends. How are you today? I want to hope your day is starting out well. And I hope my audio seems to be coming out all right. So today, in our session on this quest for purpose, I'll be following through on the subject I talked about yesterday on the clues, the signpost that gives you the idea about what your purpose is. And some of these things might be what you've observed in your life. And readily, when you're able to identify any of the ones we shared this morning, that might make it quite easier for you to be able to get back, reflect, and connect the dots, considering the past. Now, the first thing we're going to be looking at this morning is what you are repeatedly drawn to. When you look back, recent past, and there's something that even though life's opportunities and difficulties have drawn you to some other things, but then you realized that there is this thing that you always come back to naturally, not with any form of force or difficulty or hassle. You just find yourself, you're coming back to this same thing. Even when it appears the other things you've been drawn to, it appears you're doing well there, you are excelling at it. But then this keeps drawing you back. You keep finding yourself, even if not coming back to it outrightly, you're thinking about it. And in your deepest self, you know I should be doing this other one. Maybe. Now, please bear in mind, these different clues are not to suggest in any way that that's where your purpose lies. But they are clues. They are signposts. They are nudges trying to tell you, perhaps give a second thought to this. Maybe that's where purpose lies. Maybe you've always wanted to teach, create, counsel, speak, sing, draw, design, help, cause a change. It might even be just in your family. You might even be the youngest. And then you're not comfortable with the way things are done. You're always coming back to say, this is how things are meant to be done. We need to always learn to do things correctly. You're always the type coming back to put everybody right. And hey, you're the youngest. You don't like injustice. You don't like when things are not followed through. And then you look back and you've been punished, you're disrespectful. Why would you have to talk to your elder ones that way? I'm just giving an example. And then maybe at the point you've cried, I will never do this again. What exactly is my problem? What is my problem? Why can't I just mind my own business? If you've been in that scenario, in that situation, maybe not just in this example I gave, but in something else, and you've told yourself, let me mind my business. What the hell exactly is my business? That might be giving you a clue. Maybe purpose lies there. In the big picture, it might even be, that might be leading you to politics. Finding purpose. And the next thing I want to look at here, what comes natural to you, but seems quite hard to others. I shared this with us, I think 2 days ago, that I was in a meeting on Saturday night. And when I was speaking to those who were in the meeting, and we spoke about the event we're planning for, and then I shared my itinerary for the next couple of days. And one of them said, how do you cope with the multiple things you do at the same time? And my response was, I'm just in my natural habitat. I don't do what I do to impress anybody. I don't even know who is doing what I'm doing. And of course, I don't do what I do to compete with anybody. Again, I don't know who is doing what I'm doing. I don't go online to check who are my competitors, who are my contemporaries. I don't go online to do that. What for? What for? It is natural to you. And then somebody is asking, how do you pull such huge programs, expensive events? You spend so much, your savings, your salary, trying to do this to help people all for free. I mean, I can't comprehend it. I can't, even to be paid to do this, I'm going to grumble doing it. I'll ask for a lot of money to do it, and you do it for free. You even spend your money doing it. Perhaps purpose lies there. And there are different aspects to this. It might be organizing things as little, as common and usual as meals making. So there are lots of these things. It might even be writing songs. It might even be writing songs. And maybe you don't sing. Actually, you don't sing. You don't see yourself in music and all of those things. But then you write songs, and the lyrics are usually out of this world. The lyrics of the songs actually speak deep into the soul. And sometimes you just want to find yourself in that mood. And once you're in that mood, you begin to write. And sometimes in a day, you write even up to 3 songs. But you never release them. You just write and just dump them. Just keep them somewhere. It's just as though you're just pouring your heart out. You're expressing yourself. But in the bit of just expressing yourself, you're writing something profound. And the friends around you, when they look at your lyrics, they're wondering, oh my God, where did this come from? Maybe. But then you're very, very good with tech. You're very good with tech. So you're not really thinking about purpose. You've gone to school, this is the thing you studied because that's where the big deal is, that's where the money is. But once in a while you find yourself, maybe you've been disappointed at work, in relationship, in life, in business, finance, and then how to express your feeling and your difficulty, the disappointment you've experienced in life, is by writing. So you just write those songs, you just express yourself writing. Perhaps that's where passion lies. Perhaps that's where purpose lies. You want to find out exactly what's that thing that is so natural for you, but others find difficult. It's very important. And then the next one here, what people constantly compliment you for. There are things we do, things others do, that is just normal. People do these things and then you just come past them, and then it looks just normal. Anybody else can just do that. But then when you do it, and again, for you didn't even just give much attention to it. You just did what you did, or you just do what you do. But then you find people complimenting you. You know, sometimes when I go somewhere to speak, and some cases, sometimes I feel the speech. Sometimes I feel the speech. Let me just give a funny story. There was this man of God who went to preach somewhere, and then he preached a very powerful sermon. He preached from his heart. And then when he got through, as he was leaving the pulpit, still on the podium, on the platform, a fellow minister walked towards him. So it appears this minister was the one to take over. Maybe he was the moderator. So as he was leaving, this other minister whispered to his ear, that was a powerful sermon. And the gentleman replied, the devil just told me that. You know, as a speaker, when you've done well, when you have delivered, you will know, boy, I gave my heart out. That was powerful. You will feel it. So for me as well, I feel it when I'm giving my heart out, spoken my heart out, delivered a powerful speech. I know it. But sometimes when I speak and I'm like, I'm not sure. In fact, sometimes I want to ask one or two persons, how was it? I hope it made sense. I do that too. So, but then in such situations, when I've not even asked anybody, I'm just thinking to myself, I hope I made sense. I hope I didn't waste their time. And then you're finding somebody coming to say, man, that was unprecedented. That was a powerful speech. Imagine somebody looking for your email, requesting for your email, sending you an email. I was blessed by that speech. I have certain questions. I need counsel in this area. I need help in this area. You're having 1, 2, 3, 4, 7 from a presentation you made that you did not feel. Something that comes natural to you, effortlessly. But then people are complimenting you for what you thought you didn't do well. Just give my example of speaking. There are several other areas as it applies to you. That's just natural. Perhaps that's where passion lies. Perhaps that's where purpose lies. Just at this point, I would like to encourage you, my viewers and listeners. We will be having a webinar this weekend, 19th and 20th of July, where we'll be talking extensively, not in bite size, in beats like we've been having since the past weeks, talking about this subject, purpose. And I'll be taking you right from the beginning, from the basics of definition of purpose, what I understand by purpose, what I've observed by purpose, what I know, what I think, what I've interacted with people and researched on, what purpose is, giving simple terminologies and examples of what purpose is to help you understand it's not something complex. It's not something out of this world. It's not something you need to research and pray and take some time apart, go to the mountain, go to the valley, spend time alone. Not exactly. I'll make it that simple and easy. And then I'll take you all the way onto how to find your purpose, living your purpose, and then some difficulties and challenges that you might face that could be a one size fits all, and then how you can then pick which fits yours and how to manage and go through whatever challenge or challenges you might be facing, in purpose. So I want to please encourage you. Click on the link on the screen at the comment section and the description, and please do register. We look forward to seeing you. You can pick either Saturday or Sunday. As I continue and close up with this session on the clues, on the breadcrumbs that gives you a sign or an idea of perhaps what your purpose is the struggles you've overcome that others are still facing. So I will use myself as an example. Growing up, I know I had low self-esteem issue. I had self-esteem issue. I had, of course, difficulty speaking and expressing myself. I had a very difficult and dilapidating stuttering problem. And then I wasn't smart in school. Primary school, or in school generally. In primary school, yes, that was primary school, I've forgotten. In primary school, I repeated 2 times. When I was in primary 6, I couldn't even read. It was that bad. And when I was in church, and back then, I know, excuse me, please. We used to have this thing called, we used to have fellowship, where we come together, and then they would distribute us to different sections, where, let's say, we have 15 youths, and then we have scripture readings, and then they will just share. Let's say we have about 7, and then they just share. You take one, 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 you take one. They share, and then the leader would say, "All right, as we start now, the first reader." And then after distributing it like that, the first reader goes. And of course, we all have the outline. As we're approaching to the point of the outline, I'll stand up and pretend as though I want to go to the toilet because I couldn't read. And they didn't know I couldn't read. And I didn't want to embarrass myself. I did this every Sunday. And the Sundays I couldn't go for fellowship, I was always happy because they might call me to read, and I didn't know how to read. It was that bad. This was something I had to overcome. Then, as a child, the home I grew up in, there was nothing to let you know you could be anything. Because the people, family, friends, the family itself, parents, siblings, neighbors, nobody showed any sign that there was anything outside this in life. It was clear that this was all about life. And then, so I didn't even have to compete for anything because there's nothing to compete for. This is all life. It's all about poverty. It's all about lack. And then, of course, I'd always thought I'd always thought about having sufficient food. Having 3 square meals a day is luxury. Why would you do that? That's a waste. If you eat all you're going to eat tomorrow, today, if you have 3 square meals today, you're not going to have food tomorrow. I might not have the day after. And even if you eat 3, you might need to ration some things. That was the life I grew up with as a child. And it was for years. I've been programmed and primed that's that about life. And as a teenager, getting into my 20s, I struggled with this because I began to see what others were doing. I was attending one organization, they call it SPO, Solid Peers Organization. And they recalibrated my brain. But even though I was listening to those things, that there was more to life, there was a struggle in my mind. And then I got exposed to books. I began to read books, study people, Henry Ford, Napoleon Hill. These people, I was reading their stories. I saw where they were when they started and where they ended up at. And I was seeing the little changes that amounted to the great guys we now know them to be today. And then I said, okay, I could be that. That could be me. But then how could I become that? And then I began to test and test and test until I realized in my early 30s, I wouldn't call what I was, but financially, I was boom in business. And then I realized, okay, so I could be this. Now, what did I do? How did I get here? And then I began to go back to study. I began to study. And I spent about 6 months studying and researching. And then I realized, okay. So it wasn't just what happened to me last year that brought me to what I am today. Not even what happened 5 years ago that brought me to be what I am today. It's actually what had been happening back then as a teenager. The lesson I was attending, the Solid Peers Organization I was listening to, and then the books I was reading. Okay, so this took over 10 years, changing my mind, writing my mind, rewriting my mind. Then I realized, okay, I could be, I could do, I could have anything. And based on that struggle, I decided I'm going to spend the rest of my life teaching people on mind emancipation, on mind recalibration, on mind change. If you change your mind, you will change your life forever. But it doesn't happen overnight. It's going to take time. And that's why, because it will take time, the earlier you start, the better for you. I am where I am today. I haven't gotten there yet. Hey guys, don't get me wrong. I'm not there yet today. But based on the expansion my mind has gotten to, the capacity I know that I could be, what I know that I could have or become, oh my God, I know I haven't seen anything yet. But then I am where I am today because I started maybe quite early, relatively early. And that's why the earlier you start, the better for you. Back to purpose. So what you've struggled with, the difficulties you've had, the challenges you've had, the failures and setbacks you've experienced in that particular area, perhaps purpose lies there. And you know what? You find some people today who are in their 40s. In fact, they're celebrating their 40th birthday. And they're already world renowned. They're nationally known. In a particular sector, they are well known. They're just 40. They're just 35. And you're wondering, how could this person have become so known and he's just 41? As I'm just talking, I'm remembering some people that we all know, particularly in the music world. We all know these guys in the tech world. And then we're wondering, how could they have just become this? And some of them, you can easily tell how they move from point 1 to point 2 to 3. Not that someone just pick them and then place them on stage. And then they are musicians, they are singers and worshippers that are known all over the world. They started just as a trumpeter. As a little boy, following his parents to church. As a little boy, singing in the choir. As a little boy who could even have money to buy the trumpet that is well known in the whole world today. The church had to contribute money and buy him a trumpet. He found that even going to school and doing other things, my purpose lies in this trumpet. And this young man today, when he's worshiping and he says, just by saying, I want to blow the trumpet, everybody's shivering because there seems to be a spirit, there seems to be an energy, there seems to be a wavelength that goes with when he blows the trumpet. Just ordinary trumpet. That somebody else blows, your neighbor blows, and he goes to the door, you knock, you tell him to stop blowing that thing, it's disturbing you. He's not making anybody in the neighborhood to sleep. It's the same thing somebody else is blowing in a public space. He's not just blowing, just by saying, now I'm going to blow the trumpet, and everybody is shivering because they know anointing is going to flow. Do you know how many lives that are tied to your trumpet? There's one other person, I'm not even sure he's 40 yet. When he's singing and he says, I want to release the chant, everybody's shivering. Because some things will happen. I want to release the chant. Chant, you don't even understand what he's saying. You don't even know. Even he does not even know what he's saying. But anointing is flowing. Something is moving out. These are just people in the spiritual sphere. But then yours might be help. Might be government. Might be speaking. Might as well be in music. Might be in tech. Might be in medicine. Might be anything. Folks, I beg you. I beg you. The world needs your purpose. On behalf of the world, I am begging you. We need your purpose. You need to find your purpose for our sake. Because imagine our world today. Imagine the music world, the gospel music world today without the folks of these guys. Think about it. It will just be filled, our stages will just be filled with people making noise. And we'll be paying a lot of money because we don't have people who have found purpose. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Do your very best. Anything is going to take to find purpose. Because you know why? When you do, you're going to leave the world a better place than you found it. Be well.